Keep it in here. You're fine. You got 3 minutes.
All right, folks, since we are all here and seated, I will go ahead and call our study session to order. It is 6:30 p.m. If we can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk Domingo, if you'll take roll call for us, please.
Councilmember Albion. Reed. Here. Stewart. Here. Tom. Here. David.
Here.
Ron.
Here.
And Mayor Snyder.
Here. Our study session is to go over items that we'll see at our regular meeting at 7 p.m. The first is to approve our second reading of ordinance 2024-10 to amend mobile food vending. Attorney Agnes?
So we did the first reading last time and council had extensive discussion regarding the offenses that are listed under section 22-242I. And we split up that section now into 2 subsections. One that says a permit shall not be issued to this by the city if an applicant has been convicted of any of the following offenses at any time, and that includes homicide, rape, or abduction. And then any of the following offenses within 10 years prior, immediately preceding the application: robbery, embezzlement, and fraud. And we also added indecent exposure. That was at the request of the public safety chief. According to the chief, we've actually had an issue with a vendor that has a conviction for indecent exposure. So that was not on our initial version, but that was added at the request of the chief. I think it makes sense. But we broke, other than that, the ordinance is unchanged. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Attorney Agnes? All right.
And this would be a second reading and adoption tonight.
Next, we'll be asked to approve 2024-42 for 2025 budget appropriation. Director Clark, you wanna lead this conversation?
Everybody, let's be back, what we can afford, what we run for me.
Us too.
So the first resolution is for the 2025 budget. That I put together. This was based on all the budgets that I presented, and these are the numbers that I came up with. I don't know the general fund, but we are gonna be in a little bit of like deficit. Do I think we're gonna end up there? No. I think we're a little bit over on some of our salaries and wages, but that's what comes with. She does our payroll and she's really good at it. And so you can see that 7,337,193 for total revenue. There's a breakdown there. Some of the big numbers. And then below it are all different departments within the general fund. And there you come up to 7,332,110. So it's with a deficit of 400,000. Again, do I think we're gonna end up there? No, but that's what we're doing. That's what I understand, that we have quite a bit sitting in our fund balance after transferring all the money from the Maple Grove. We still have the Albion trust that we need to transfer eventually, but we're gonna wait to do that until 2025. So I think when all said and done, we're gonna have an extra 4 million in our general fund balance. So we'll be set in pretty good shape. And that's for the general fund. As we go to the next page, you all use the revenue funds. They're listed there. With the column of the revenues and then the appropriations. I think to keep in mind on the street improvement fund, which is our capital improvement. Special revenue fund, this is the one that has quite a bit of a positive amount for 2024 because of the sell of the bonds. And then we're going to use up most of it in 2025 when the projects get constructed. So I wouldn't go into much about the deficit because in 2024 we had large profit or large revenue over appropriations because of sell the bonds, so most of it will get used up in 2025. But the other funds came out pretty good. You know, the special revenue, we have a debt service, we're only down to 3 now. I got rid of 2 of them because the bonds were paid off. So I cleared them out back to who originally gave the money to pay the bonds. And don't worry too much about the deficit in 2025. But we have transfers coming in from the Fund 450 to cover that. And that's for the sale of bonds, the payments that start next year. This year we were able to handle most of it by the premium that we receive off the sale of bonds. So for next year, we'll transfer it up in there to cover the payment, and then that'll go on from year to year to year. So TF bonds are paid off. The other 2 bonds I think are going to mature here in the next year or 2, and those will be cleared off, and we'll only have the MTF bonds for debt service unless we sell future bonds, which is possibly going to happen for the water system. 10,000 or $10 million short. That we're going to go for extra bonds to try to cover that. And that's going to happen the first of the year, first couple of months of the year, 2025. Our enterprise funds came out pretty good. Sewer fund, it's all a little bit there. And then we also had water fund. We're going to have large profit in the water fund, but most of the construction of the water tower will be up in the balance sheet and will be appreciated. So this is the revenues that will cover all the costs of the contractor. And we hope to finish that by the end of 2025. So with our enterprise funds, We go to the internal service fund. This is our equipment. We'll purchase all the equipment and take care of it and service it over at the street building. And then we charge rent as the other funds use it. So next year I anticipate just about breaking even 16,000 to good. That's our internal service fund, the fund that handles all the equipment that we buy. And we have the other funds. These were the brownfield, DC, the TIFA, the DDA, the CDBG grant fund, and the revolving loan fund. I guess we'll discuss these a little bit. And then we got the trust fund. This is money we hold in a trust, and then we pay it out. The big fund here is the Public Safety Pension Fund. It had a great year in 2024. I budgeted basically the same thing in 2025 because no one knows what the stock market's going to bring us. But I'm hoping that it goes just as well as the year before. And if it does, that'll be great. If not, it will have to adjust those numbers. So these are the budget numbers. These are the numbers coming up for next year, based on what I discussed the last few weeks, a few Mondays. For 2025 questions. You want me to go to the next one?
Go ahead.
So back on, sorry about some of these questions in advance. Would you go over special revenue funds for 50th Street improvement again? I appreciate that you said we don't need to worry about the deficit, but would you say again
Yeah.
what's happening there?
So 2024, we sold $2.8 million of bonds. All the revenue came in before. And so that, with that much revenue coming in, and the fact that we're going to spend most of it in 2025, and 2024 shows a large profit, let's say, because we're going to use the money for next year. But we have to show the money up in revenues when we receive it. These were bonds that we sold, we got the money up front. Sometimes we do bond sales and we take the money as we use it. We ask to be reimbursed so we can pay the contractors along the way. This bond was a sale and it was negotiated. It ended up in premium because it was sold between the price that it was going for. And so we had a large amount of revenue to use in 2025 and 2026.
That makes sense.
So that makes sense.
So it's a carryover from 2024 into 2020.
Right.
I probably could see that if I looked on the other budget.
Yeah, when we go with the headed budget for 2024, you'll see a large
Okay, I mean,
profit in 2014.
yeah, I have another.
Yep.
So I think we're gonna cover this maybe later, but on the EDC and the DDA, when they're showing a negative number. Is there a quick explanation of what these are, the two that are projected negative,
That would be the other day.
right?
In the office, we met in the mail room. There's a $90,000 capital outlay for the DDA fund to buy planters and signs for the downtown area. And so that's going to cause the DDA fund to use some of the fund balance. And so they're anticipating using 22,805 of the fund balance to cover that capital outlay because the revenues minus the appropriations are not going to be enough to cover everything.
On the EDC,
The EDC,
two lines above.
yeah, that I would wait till later to talk about.
That's fine.
If that's okay with everybody.
Thank you.
This is the 2025 budget, but this is the 2025 budget that are still covered. Any other questions? I should go over the amendment.
Mhm.
The next resolution is basically, when we do our budget, we anticipate where we're gonna be at a year. That's a lot of the work that goes into the budget. Trying to anticipate where we're gonna be at year end based on first 10 months. So we do that, and then once we get all of our numbers, we ask that the original budget be amended to the year end numbers. And that's what all these numbers are. So you can see that the general fund, which took the first, has 10,887,285. And a lot of that has to do with the large transfer in from the Maple Grove sale. It's not all of it, there were more transfers in that were normal, that go into the general fund. But I think it was close to 2.79 million, 2.790 million that make up some of that transfer in. And that's why the revenues are so much higher than what's budgeted for 2025. Because we have that huge transfer in from the Maple Grove. Possibly next year, the 2025 budget may have to be amended, decide to take the money out of the Albion building trust or the Albion trust. That's there's still over $1 million in that could be transferred next year if we make sure that we don't have any other payments that we go out of there. Particularly something like that.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any payments that need to go out. I mean, I can't remember. It may have been when Haley was still here, but the remaining trustee that's on that board, and we may have to populate the board just for purposes of winding up the trust, asked a question about disposition of the trust funds, and what I told them is, well, the terms of the trust are very clear. It says once Maple Grove ceases to be a public asset, then it's an irrevocable trust, but one of the things that triggers the termination of the trust is no longer owning the asset. So now that Maple Grove has been sold, the trust is supposed to terminate, and it says the funds go to the grantor/settlor, which is the city. So realistically, it's just a matter of, I mean, what should happen is they should cut a check to the city and close the trust accounts and maybe do some sort of final accounting on the account. But I mean, the terms of the trust say once we no longer own Maple Grove, the funds go back to the grantor, which is the city.
Yeah, and most of the funds, basically all of the funds that are in there right now are investments. They're earning interest, so if that does get transferred back into the general fund, then I'll just keep the investments until they mature and decide not to do it. Probably be invested in some at that particular time. But most of them are earning close to 6% right now. So keep them in there as long as we can, basically. And then we have the expenses for all the departments. And we can see there was a large revenue over appropriation amount. Again, that's because of the large transfer that we had. So the general fund, we're gonna 100,000 even really without the transfer. So that would be our final amended 2024 budget for the general fund. Then we go to our special articles. And what was it showing up pretty positive for next year, this year. And I want to show that the Maple Grove is negative because of the transfer out. The 2024, just clear everything out of the Maple Grove. All the investments, all the deposits that were owed that are held, all the capital, including the money that we kept. And so all of that was settled up and at the purchase time, or the closing of that particular property. I had to wait about a month for everything to settle in, all the checks to come in and everything, but after that, we transferred everything over to the general fund. And then let's look at the 450. That's the big profit that I was talking about that will get used next year. Most of our revenues are very high compared to our appropriations. That's because we sell bonds have to be shown at face value of in revenue as other sources of revenue. So that means a large profit that will carry over the next year to cover the capital improvements of the street portion of the water system project. So going to be some street improvements included in that whole project. So those have to be separated out and shown in the street fund. And improvement fund. So those are our amended budget numbers for 2024. Special revenues in debt service. Notice that we have 5 here because 2 got cleared out at the end of the year. So in the budget, we have 3 left. In debt service, there's 2 because they were cleared out during the year. That's that is paid off. There's no reason to keep the funds. And then we have our enterprise funds. These are actual numbers. So those came out pretty good. Again, a lot of that profit's going to be used to pay for the debt that's created. Close to 27 million when we get done on that, excuse me, 24.5 million in that water system project. So we gotta make principal payments down the road, including interest payments as well. So that's why we see a large profit there. Enterprise funds are profit funds, and so the debt is usually shown up in the balance sheet. It's not separated in its own debt service fund. So all these numbers that are on this page will become our amended budget from our original budget that we started with at the beginning of the year. That's why we do that projection at the end of the year to make sure that we're not over budget. And then we amend it. Internal service fund. This came out really well, but again, a lot of profit will be for equipment during the year. And that's shown up in the balance sheet and will be depreciated over time. And when I say shown up in the balance sheet, there's 2 sets of reports that you can make up a financial statement. It's the balance sheet and the income statement at the bottom. The balance sheet never gets turned off. It's always going. The income statement goes for 12 months and starts with zeros every year. Show your profit and loss. But your balance sheet is where you have your assets, cash in the bank, prepaid expenses, and on the other side, you have your liabilities and fund balance. So the balance sheet of an asset is going to depreciate it over time based on what it is. It's a piece of equipment, usually 7 to 10 years. If it's a sewer system, it's going to be 30 to 40 years. That's how we write that stuff off over time. Then we have our other funds. Brownfield, BDC, TIPA, EDA, CDBG fund, and our revolving loan fund. Most of those were positive for the year, except for 1. So it'll be amended. And then we have a trust fund, again, the funds held in trust paid out at some point in the future. And I want to zero in on the public safety pension fund. Trust fund, we had a great year, so the stock market had a great year. We can do that again, that would be great. This cemetery trust went in a little negative because we did so much improvements to the cemetery. $166,000 of various improvements to buildings, roads, a little bit of everything there. Jason, I'm going into more detail about that. So these are our 2024 projected amended numbers to amend our original budget.
Any questions for Director Clark on the 2024 amendment? All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, we're going to be asked to approve of the reappointment for Mary Slater. That is in the pocket, the application. Next, we're going to be asked to approve of the purchase of a new ADCS patrol vehicle. You want to come up and give us some info?
Sure.
We thought we were done with them, Andy. We thought we were done with them.
I'm waiting for the public safety director, not the assistant.
He's at the graduation party.
I suppose.
His proxy. Good evening, council. This is already budgeted for the 2025 budget. We just happen to come across one that's available right now. This is a standard purchase that we always make. We usually get one patrol car a year. This time we're gonna go with the Dodge Durango. State police have been running it for about 2 years now. Blackman Township, Jackson County, Sheriff's Department. MSP took an initial order of 900 of them, so we figured they would probably figure out if something's wrong. So far, so good. Not only that, it's actually cheaper than the truck for the Tahoes. Those are about 50 to 55,000. This came in at like 44.6, some change. With outfitting and everything, we're good. As always, put all new stuff in it. There's not really a whole lot we can transfer over, with the exception of the radar unit. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. We'll take possession of it. If it's approved, it'll be this week. Then they'll bill us after the first of the year, so that way it comes out of the next fiscal year. We went through state bid price as well, so we're going to do better bids. It's best.
Any questions for Deputy Kern?
What color is it gonna be?
Black. Take one, black and silver.
Your new cars are silver. They look kind of sharp.
Beggars can't be choosers.
We got a vehicle paint company right here in town. We got a vehicle paint company right here in town.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you. And given the
Thanks,
time,
Deputy
I want to allow for public comments. So if there's anybody in the gallery that would like to stand and address the council, you may do so, and 3 minutes is yours. Seeing no movement, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned, 6:55 PM.